Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. What I've just recited for you is the Scout Law. It's a promise every Scout makes at the beginning of each and every meeting he attends to live by those 12 virtues. Since I joined the Boy Scouts of America in 2007, I've made that promise roughly 400 times, including 5 practicing for this speech and 1 just now. So I've been with the Boy Scouts since 2007, and in that time I have earned my Eagle Scout rank, which is something I'm proud of and it's something you've all heard about before. I've also been awarded for my actions in scouting and for earning Eagle the United States Marine Corps League's Good Citizenship Award, which is the medal you see on my jacket here today. So I think that qualifies me a little bit to speak about lessons I've learned from scouting that I want to share with you. So I'm going to share with you the 2 points of the Scout Law that I view as the most important, and why it's important that the rules you live by aren't forced upon you by someone else, but are rules that come from within. So, in my years in scouting, I've taken a lot away from the program. I've tried to give a lot back. I've learned camping, hiking, cycling, swimming, first aid skills, amongst other things, and I've made a lot of friends. The friends that I've made in scouting, some of them are here, are the best friends that anyone could ask for, and they're better friends than I could ever hope to deserve. And when I think of how I want to live my life, and what it is I want to be known for, these are the people that I think of, knowing me for what I want to be known for. And these are the other people I think of. Because I have too many friends from scouting, I've taken too much away from it for it all to fit on one slide. And so the first point of the Scout Law that I view as most important is in fact the first point of the Scout Law, which states that a Scout is trustworthy. But what does it mean to be trustworthy? Being trustworthy, is that just being honest and telling the truth when you're asked? No. That's part of it. But that is not all of what being trustworthy is. Somebody who's trustworthy is dependable. He's reliable, he's consistent, he's forthcoming. Yes, he's honest, he doesn't lie. And when he makes a mistake, he steps up and he says, my bad, that was my mistake. So what's an application of this? Well, a couple weeks ago in AP US History, just over there in the classroom next door, we had an assignment that was due. It was the 25 most important points of the Civil Rights Movement. It was due in review for a test. It was assigned on a Wednesday. It was due Thursday. The test was Friday. Mrs. Bone never collects these assignments on the day that they're due. She always collects them the day of the test, so you can study from them the night of the test, the night before the test. So I walked into the classroom on Thursday, and I was like, oh man, I totally forgot to do the 25 points, but I didn't say anything. I was like, wait a minute, I can do those tonight. I can get a full 25 points. But then the better part of my nature came up and it said, no, Robby, you're an Eagle Scout. The Scout is trustworthy. And so I told Mrs. Bone, I said, Mrs. Bone, I forgot to do my 25 points. She says, okay, work on them for a few minutes in class. So I got 5 of them done, 5 out of 25. That's 20%. And she said, draw a line, no more. So now, because of that, my possibility to waive the final in that class is in jeopardy. I might still be able to make it, but I might not. All because I was trustworthy. A trustworthy person isn't just trustworthy when it's easy. He's trustworthy when it's hard, when it's difficult. That's part of it, because there are some things that are more important than grades. Your parents may hammer at you about grades. You're going to need grades to get into colleges and places you want to go, but there are things more important, like your principles and your values. The other thing is, if you're not a trustworthy person, how are people going to know what the values they see in you are really your values? How are they going to know that your life is not just a lie? Second point of the Scout Law that I see as most important is the 10th point of the Scout Law, which says the Scout is brave. When we did impromptu speeches, you heard the quote, To be brave is to put the needs of others ahead of your own, even when the risk and cost to yourself is great. I submitted that quote. I heard it at a scouting function, and it stuck with me ever since. Another common definition of bravery, of courage, states that courage is not a lack of fear. It's acting in the face of fear. So how do you reconcile those two? What's a good situation that you see bravery that you don't necessarily think of it as bravery? How about the decision-making process? How many of you have ever had to make a decision in your life? I should see all hands up. All right, we've all had to make decisions. And how many of you are afraid of making the wrong decision, of messing up and making a mistake? I am too. So, but courage isn't the lack of fear. It's acting in spite of that fear. You're afraid to make the wrong decision. But if you don't make a decision, then you can't make the right one. So you step forward, you make a decision. You do something. How do you make that decision? If you see somebody on the side of the road with a flat tire, you don't know much about this person, it looks like it might be a little shady of a scene, you're afraid. But maybe you're gonna stop and help them because A, you're putting their needs ahead of your own. You might be late for work, you might be late for school, but that person's got somewhere he's gotta be too. So you stop by, you help him out. You put his needs ahead of your own, and you acted in the face of your fear. This applies in basically every decision-making situation. You cannot live a life incapacitated by fear. You have to act in the face of that fear, or else the fear wins. And when you do act, remember to think of others before you think of yourself. So the final point that I'd like to make today is that rules have to come from within. If you live a life based on rules that somebody else has thrown at you, you are not going to accept those as rules. You might obey them because you're afraid of the punishment, but those aren't going to be the rules you live by. Beginning of the school year, we all signed the thing in the planner that says, I have read all of the rules in this planner and I agree to them. And I'll bet for most of us that was a lie. I know I've read the planner, and I signed that too, but how many of us this year have gotten written up? I'm not going to raise my hand because I haven't, but that's a sign that you got written up because you broke the rules. And why did you break the rules? You broke the rules because you did not accept them. They were not the rules, the values by which you live your life. So as much as I've just harped on you about the importance of being trustworthy and the importance of being brave, do not do those just because I said them. Do those because you think about it. And when you think about it, if you accept those, then live those out. Whatever your values are, accept them, and don't let someone else tell you what's right and what's wrong. Don't let someone else think for you. Think for yourself. Make up your own rules. But remember to be trustworthy and brave when you're making up those rules. Now, I know that my time is running short, and so I want to leave you all with this message that we're all going to have to make choices. We're all going to have to choose what our values are. And that's the whole point. You're going to have to choose what your values are. You're going to have to be brave in making that choice. You're going to have to know that you'll want people to trust you in making that choice. So your rules can't come from me. They can't come from my last lecture, as much as I'd be awed if they did. They have to come from you, from what you think, from what you know. So stop, think, put the needs of others ahead of your own, be brave and trustworthy whenever you can.